If I listened to the media, I'd be far too concerned to ever visit South Africa, and that would be a shame. But flying business class on Turkish Airlines on board their Boeing 787 with that legendary 5-star service and a raspberry-based signature drink is just too tempting.
Welcome to the beautiful and sunny Cape Town. Unfortunately, I messed up my Turkish Airlines Boeing 787 intro because I set my phone to the wrong time.
The short version is, I was sitting in the lounge in Istanbul, enjoying myself, when I saw the words "final call." A little bit confused, I suddenly realised I hadn't changed my time on my phone. Anyway, by the time I got there, economy was mostly boarded, and it was just too late to do the intro.
Let's not talk about that. But anyway, we're in Cape Town, we're flying Turkish Airlines 787 in business class.
Sadly, I was only here for 24 hours, but that was enough time to see the waterfront and ponder if I wanted to buy a very beautiful but expensive photo of a gazelle in the wild. The answer was no. So having caught the free shuttle bus back to the hotel, it was time to make my way towards the airport for a pretty good departure time of 16:40.
Starts to be the easiest finding the check-in desk. It's literally right in front.
Be warned, to get to the check-in desk there is a mandatory check of visas, passports and documents, which can take a little bit of time. 5 minutes to be precise, but once you get beyond this, there was barely a queue for the business class check-in, and having made it through a very easy immigration and bag check, I couldn't not stop and check out this pretty rare Angola Airlines Boeing 777. I hear their first class is pretty amazing. Perhaps one day I'll try it.
I'm off to the lounge, which I don't have high hopes for. And in the meantime, let's have a look at today's journey map.
Today's journey can't come soon enough. TK45 will take 11 hours and 5 minutes. I am hopeful of sleeping because today is going to be extremely long. Anyway, back to the lounge. The lounge can be found almost at the end of the terminal next to the dedicated British Airways lounge, which would have been preferable. It's not often that I drink my wine at speed, but I made a very quick exit even though the staff were really charming. The design is pretty nice, but when it's busy with only one free seat, it really feels impersonal and a bit like a bus stop. If you can secure a comfy seat by the window and the vibe is quieter, it would have been a completely different experience, but 5 minutes is more than enough time in here.
So I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting that much from the lounge, and to be honest, it's not a bad lounge, it's just really, really busy.
Personally, I wouldn't try and arrive super early for your flight, because the international terminal just isn't very large, and you walk the full length in about 3 minutes. Lucky for me, my spirits were pretty high after the reasonable glass of white wine, but Turkish Airlines appears to follow Qatar, and never boards at the time shown on the boarding card. In the end, boarding was delayed by about 15 minutes. Luckily in the meantime, there were some nice wide windows, which gave me a chance to check out today's flight on Turkish Airlines Boeing 787-9.
Why didn't you call?
The world is beautiful, yet chaotic at the same time. And hidden within its web of streets are people waiting to tell a story. The smells, sounds and smiles. Life is a journey, where will it take you?
Why didn't you call? Why didn't you?
It's a good time to board because the weather is crap.
When it comes to layouts in business class, most airlines go down one of two routes. The first is adopted by airlines like Cathay Pacific, American Airlines and British Airways, and many more, where the seats are angled either towards the middle of the plane or the window. Turkish Airlines on the other hand follows some of its local cousins, like Emirates on their Airbus A380, which we loved from Bangkok to Hong Kong, and more recently Etihad on their Boeing 787, where the seats aren't angled, alternating between left and right in position. I'll leave it to you to decide which you think is better. As a result, not all seats are created equal, and as a solo traveller you're going to want to pick an even number in rows A or K, as these are closer to the window, which gives you more privacy. If you happen to like the person you're travelling with and they don't snore, you're going to want to pick the odd numbers in the centre rows, as these are closer together.
So welcome on board. If you think the product looks quite similar, that's because it's the same as Singapore Airlines on a domestic business class.
On my way to Cape Town, I chose 8 Alpha, which is incredibly private because 8E and F don't exist. For my return this was sadly taken, so I purchased myself in 4 Alpha, which is halfway between 2 bathrooms. If you have a sweet tooth, then Turkish Airlines Raspberry based signature drink is going to be right up your street. It's incredibly sweet, lots of flavour, and I could have at least 3. Turkish Airlines has partnered with Ferragamo Parfume, which if you can't tell from my terrible accent, is an Italian luxury fashion house, and comes in either a subtle green or a petrol blue. No particular surprises can be found inside the amenity kit, but the facial mist is great for that very dry atmosphere inside a plane, and the socks were really woolly, which makes a nice change. Usually the slippers are just lying on the footrest, but they come in this rather stylish bag.
I'm pretty sure this is a blanket.
And it turns out I was correct, but we'll look at the bedding further in the video. And naturally it also comes with a very plush looking pillow. If you're someone who can't live with this world without a good engine view, then 4 Alpha is perfect. It's just a shame that the jet bridge is in the way.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board this Turkish Airlines flight.
We would like to draw your attention to the safety information you need to follow during this flight. Please stow your hand luggage carefully in the overhead compartments. You can place smaller items under the seat in front of you.
It may not be the most original safety video in the world, but it's pretty pleasing and could be described as cute. But with that out of the way, it's time for the pushback for the takeoff.
You make it right, I forgot how to act, it's so classic. Every time you make me nervous and I lose my words. It's been a while since I forgot the most simple words. I feel calm when you're around, like nothing can break me.
Let's have a seat.
The seats are manufactured by 30 Stellar Aerospace Symphony and have a width of 20 inches, which is good but not the widest in the world, and a pitch of 44 inches. They do look incredibly modern, but I'm not fully convinced by the width, which can feel a little bit restrictive when you're trying to sleep. For a seat with no door, the privacy on the window adjacent seats is very good, and features USB-A and a universal plug socket. My only issue with the seat is that I would have 2 full windows, but it's blocked by the side of the seat. This could be intentional though, because I would imagine it slightly cancels out the noise of the cabin. As for legroom, it's good but not amazing, but that's because the seat in front, and as you can see the footwell is a little bit pinched. As for window shades, the Boeing 787 doesn't have any, but it does have a clever system for polarising the window. It was very sunny in the cabin once we got to 30,000 feet, and I suddenly felt like I was being watched. Turns out a young lad on the other side was staring at me. Thinking this was odd, I disappeared into the cocoon of my seat, but he then appeared next to the seat. Taking off my headphones, I said, "Can I help?" He said, "The light is blinding me, can you do something about it?" And not to be a jerk, although I do like looking out the window, I lowered the brightness of the window. This is the middle setting, should you wonder. With the plane changing direction, I was able to unshade the window, just in time to be handed a refreshing hot towel on this little plastic porcelain plate. This has never happened before, and I admit I got a little bit embarrassed, because 2 of the cabin crew from yesterday's flight had recognised me, and in true spirit of Turkish Airlines, they were really good about it. They wished me well, said welcome back on board, and hoped I'd had a great time in Cape Town. But to be honest, I was just really impressed that they'd remembered me. When it comes to the food, Turkish Airlines truly is 5-star. They have a dedicated chef on board, who funny enough was one of the people that recognised me. Some wonderfully traditional Middle Eastern cuisine, an excellent selection of wines, aperitifs and non-alcoholic beverages. With my tray table at the ready, the cabin crew delivered a good portion of hot mixed nuts, which, at the recommendation of the chef, I paired with the Solver Sur 2021 Merlot. Now, I'm not really a wine connoisseur to start with, and I prefer white to red, so this was followed by a Pittakos 2022 Chardonnay. Both wines were produced in Turkey, and they were light, fruity, and not overbearing. Dining on Turkish Airlines is such an experience. The chef's hat, the trolley they wheel out, and that little tea light candle, it's all rather fun. Ready and excited about my first course, the table is set. And adding to the experience, they have these extremely cute little salt and pepper shakers, which I'm told resemble the towers on a mosque. And if you ask really nicely, I'm sure you can probably take these home with you. Having asked for pretty much everything, I have a small salad with feta cheese and Turkish's famous kebab on a stick, onion soup which was just as delicious as the kebab, and to finish, smoked salmon with cream cheese. All of the above was so good, I forgot there was a main course coming. With the sun fading just over Botswana, the main course arrived, consisting of halibut in a tomato-based sauce and mashed potato that was extremely creamy. Absolutely delicious. At this point, I was really beginning to struggle, but I vowed I could probably just about handle a small dessert. And here you have it, traditional baklava served 3 different ways, all of which were exceptional. Served with an optional Middle Eastern tea. Turkish Airlines boasts a very extensive collection of in-flight entertainment, all served on an 18-inch Full HD display in business class. And if there isn't enough, you can even go as far as pairing your own device. You can check out the highlights of the in-flight entertainment on their website, but with so much content to watch, I wouldn't bother. They tick an additional box for not only having cameras on board, but also live television. I'm not familiar with the brand Denon, but as their website shows, they're anything but cheap, starting at £349 for a set of headphones. The sound quality though was excellent. As for the content, I ended up watching the film The Menu, whilst having my own food, and if you haven't seen it without spoiling the film, the general theme is the high expectation at the cost of everyday workers' souls, and ultimately those who aren't grateful will meet their own demise. It was very deep and the film is pretty much shot in one room, but I was absolutely captivated. Toilets on newer variants like the Boeing 787 and the Airbus A350 leave behind the days of very old grey looking spaces, but Turkish Airlines have certainly dressed this one up. And I'm not talking about the blue LED lighting. This isn't the first time I've seen this, but the addition of plants and molten brown products really help the space feel more premium. And the tangerine makes a nice change from lavender. Whilst in the bathroom, the cabin crew, who was still very busy with the meal service, kindly offered to make it my bed, and it certainly does look inviting and comfortable. Despite being cosy, my body had adapted to the one night in South Africa, and was confused while I was trying to sleep at 7 PM in the afternoon. It wasn't the seat's fault, I'm just a terrible sleeper. Luckily, my body eventually gave up, and I did manage to get a solid if not short 4 hours of sleep, despite the turbulence over Kenya. More recently, I've started avoiding the galley outside of meal times. Not because I don't enjoy chatting to the crew, if they're happy to do so, but because that's where the snacks are. Instead, I found another movie to watch and waited patiently for breakfast. It's so wonderful not to see English breakfast on the menu, and instead have more authentic Turkish food. The fruit was incredibly fresh, and the orange juice was intense, but in a very, very good way. Lots of little dishes make this meal really good, because variety is the spice of life, so you get beef, yoghurt with a grape in it, and some cheese. Sometimes I feel like the airlines want you to be fat, so keep offering additional items like this custard-filled bakery item that was far too good. True, I could have said no, but I just won't eat in the lounge. So I finished off the meal with potatoes, tomato, spinach and omelette. Luckily they didn't offer me anything else, because I would have said no. And with the lights now mimicking the morning sky, we were approaching Istanbul. And that's the first of my 4 flights over. My next flight is sadly on an old Turkish Airlines A321, which is quite a contrast to the one I reviewed on the way over, and it's such a good experience. It also puts most airlines in Europe to shame, so be sure to check that out on the end of this video.
So it's interesting because I heard online that Turkish Airlines was really good. Having flown with them on the 787, I'm so impressed. The service, the food, the level of sort of proactiveness from the crew is just so good. Obviously, if you're traveling on the Boeing 777 in their 232 configuration, that's just not the same experience. But like Lufthansa, like Air India, they're going through a process of change now. And with the next sort of 5 years, I think in general it'll be a really good experience. Comfortable seat. Lie flat is not perfect. You have to sort of consider whether you're just going to sleep left, right or middle, and depending on where you're sitting will make a difference to that. But highly recommended, thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.